We want to get you now to Salt Lake City, Utah. President Biden is marking 1 year since signing legislation to help veterans with medical issues related to burn pits.
He's also discussing the situation in Hawaii. Let's listen.
I have been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 38 times. And I don't think most people know, this audience may know, how many women we have in combat. How many women are not only doing their part, but doing jobs that most people didn't think women would do or could do. And the Sarge is an example of just that. You know, Black Hawk helicopter is, anyway, I won't go into it all, but the point is that, you know, Sarge, what happened to you has happened to thousands of people. Governor and I talked about that earlier, the governor and I, about what we're doing here. You know, you and your fellow veterans are the heart, the soul, and the very spine and sinew of this generation. I mean, that's a fact. You know, only 1% of you volunteer to protect all of us. That's what it is. And it's all volunteer. And I want to thank Dr. Angela Williams and the great team here at Salt Lake City VA for hosting us, for taking care of our heroes. Mayor Mendenhall, thank you for the passport into the city. I appreciate that opportunity. And Governor Spencer Cox, thank you for your hospitality, but much more importantly, thank you for taking care of our veterans and for bringing along your beautiful family. And by the way, you know, years ago, this is a little ad lib here, but years ago when John Kerry was the nominee for president of the Democratic Party, he talked with me about the possibility of being vice president. And on his ticket, and it wasn't, we're old friends. I said, no, I didn't want to be vice president. But had I known that as vice president I get Secret Service, and had I known that meant my daughters had Secret Service, and my granddaughters, I would have fought even harder for them at the time. And now I have a bunch of grandchildren. They all have Secret Service, and my daughter has Secret Service, and you know, it's just wonderful. I'm not sure what they think about it, but it's just wonderful. Anyway, thank you very, very much. And look, before I begin, I want to say a word about the devastating wildfires that have claimed at least 36 lives in Maui and Hawaii. We have just approved a major disaster declaration for Hawaii, which will get aid into the hands of the people desperately needing help now. They've lost, anyone who's lost a loved one whose home has been damaged or destroyed is going to get help immediately. And I've directed that we surge support to these brave firefighters and first responders and emergency personnel working round the clock there, risking their lives. I just got off the phone before I got here for a long conversation with Governor Josh Green this morning and let him know I'm going to make sure the state has everything it needs from the federal government to recover. The FEMA Administrator Griswold will be in Maui tomorrow, and I've directed her to streamline any process with requests for help and survivors registered for immediate federal assistance without delay. FEMA is surging disaster assistance personnel on the island, and they're going to help survivors get access to federal assistance. And you know, anybody wants to know out there where to go if this is televised, that they can go to disasterassistance.gov, disasterassistance.gov, to learn if you're eligible for assistance. And I've ordered all available federal assets on the island, including the U.S. Coast Guard, the Navy 3rd Fleet, and the U.S. Army, to assist local emergency response crews along with the Hawaiian National Guard. We're working as quickly as possible to fight these fires and evacuate residents and tourists. In the meantime, our prayers with the people of Hawaii, but not just our prayers. Every asset we have will be available to them, and they've seen their homes, their business destroyed, and some have lost loved ones, and it's not over yet. But now, for the reason I'm here today. I've said it many times before. When I started saying it 30 years ago, I got criticized occasionally for saying it. I said, we have many obligations as a nation, but we only have one truly sacred obligation, and that's to equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home and when they don't. 1 year ago today, we met that sacred obligation when I signed, after fighting so damn hard for the PACT Act, to sign it into law. And I want to thank all the veterans organizations for helping make that happen, because it matters. The PACT Act is one of the most significant laws ever signed to help veterans exposed to toxic materials and help their families recover, as well as receive compensation. You remember what we mean by burn pits. You know, when we first started using the phrase burn pits, people kind of looked at us. But a burn pit is what you saw, basically the giant burn pit. The first one everybody was aware of was in 9/11 when the buildings came down. Remember all those firemen that died of cancer and how they got covered? Well, when firefighters first responded, that's what happened. Now, the burn pits in Iraq, where we're talking about, and in other countries, Afghanistan, even in parts of throughout the Middle East, they're the size of football fields, up to 100 yards long, 20 yards to 30 yards wide, and 8 to 10 feet deep. And everything you can imagine is thrown into these pits to incinerate them. The wastes of war, tires, poisonous chemicals, jet fuel, and so much more. Toxic smoke, thick with poison, spreads through the air and into the lungs of our troops and their hooches where they live nearby these facilities. I know, I've been there in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've seen them. And you can smell it in the air. You can sometimes see it. And when these troops came home, many of them the fittest and best trained warriors that we ever sent anywhere were exposed to these burn pits. They weren't the same. And thousands of troops and they had to live in their hooches not far from proximity from these burn pits. The one in Iraq, my son was about 400 yards from one of the burn pits, living there for a year in his hooch. They breathe that toxic material sometimes for months at a time. In the case of my son and his buddies, for an entire year, causing headaches, numbness, dizziness, cancer. This is not about my son, but just an example of how close it was. My son, Bo, was one of those persons. He went with the fittest guy in his unit and came home and he came home but died of glioblastoma. It's personal for my family, but it's also personal for so many of you. Secretary of the VA, McDonough, and I just had a long talk. He couldn't be here today, but he can tell you we're determined to address this problem, come hell or high water, and compensate these veterans and their families who have suffered from the consequences of this tragedy. It was part of my unity agenda, as I called it, when I did my first State of the Union, last State of the Union, to try to bring the country together on things I thought we all could agree on. First was beating the opioid epidemic, and we're working like hell on that, tackling mental health crisis, and there is a mental health crisis in America. Supporting our veterans. Look, I delivered that speech in March of last year, and a few months later, in August, with veterans groups making the case and never giving up, the bipartisan PACT Act was on my desk to sign into law. And don't tell me we can't get things done when we work together. Democrats and Republicans work together to get that done. In particular, I want to thank Senator John Tester, the chair of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, and Representative Mark Takano, as well, the ranking member of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, for their leadership. They never stopped fighting on behalf of the veterans and their families. We learned a horrible lesson after Vietnam, how harmful effects of exposure to Agent Orange took years to manifest themselves in veterans, leaving too many veterans unable to access care when they needed and deserved it. And they had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that that was the cause of their problem, which was difficult to prove in the long term. That's why I supported the Agent Orange Act of 1991, supporting veterans exposed to the harmful substances in Vietnam. Well, I don't want to see that again. The PACT Act means today's veterans and their families won't suffer the same painful, frustrating delays and denials. And here's what the law does. It empowers the Veterans Administration, the VA, to move quicker to determine if a veteran qualifies for the benefits of the law. Benefits like monthly disability compensation and regular toxic exposure screenings. It also means new facilities, new research, and more healthcare workers at VA hospitals. It includes nearly, and one of the veterans raised this to me today, nearly $30 million for new outpatient clinics right here in Salt Lake City, right here. And for families who've suffered the ultimate loss, it means potential access to life insurance, tuition benefits for their surviving family members, home loan assistance, and monthly stipends, which cannot replace one of the breadwinners in their home, but it sure and hell can help. For example, surviving spouse of a veteran who died from toxic illness with 2 children could be eligible for roughly $2,300 a month for the rest of his or her life. I'm proud to announce that over 340,000 veteran survivors are already benefiting the law just 1 year after it was signed, including over 2,000 veterans here in Utah. Veterans are getting the care they deserve in every corner of the country. For example, there's an Army veteran served in Iraq now receiving care for prostate cancer at the VA in Seattle. He heard about the PACT Act and he applied for benefits the day I signed the law. Because he's already a VA patient, he didn't need to submit medical records or get separate exams. His application was approved. He's now received retroactive payments from the date the law was signed. Another Army veteran, now in New Hampshire National Guard with multiple deployments to Iraq and Kuwait, learned that he had that a friend and a soldier she deployed with were diagnosed with breast cancer. Just in case, she decided to get toxic exposure screening free at all veterans enrolled in the VA healthcare. She too was diagnosed with breast cancer. They caught the cancer early and she's currently being treated for it. And she's being granted 100% service-connected eligibility under the PACT Act, tripling her monthly payment benefits. For folks, it matters. This matters. Folks, we have a moral obligation. This goes beyond the financial. We have a moral obligation to respond to this. And I'm here today to spread the word so every veteran or surviving family member knows how to access benefits of this law. Because these conditions have already taken such a toll on so many veterans and their families, I directed the Department of Veterans Affairs to treat all 23 presumptive conditions in this law as applicable immediately, like chronic bronchitis.
All right, we've been watching and listening to President Biden speaking in Salt Lake City, Utah. He's marking the 1-year anniversary of the PACT Act. That law expanded benefits for millions of veterans exposed to toxins during service.
Really interesting to hear the veteran who introduced the president and talked about her own battle with cancer. Well, the president also addressed the devastating wildfires across Hawaii at the start of his remarks. He announced a disaster declaration for the state and said authorities were working to help evacuate people off the island.
CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us now from outside the White House. Ed, I understand there is actually a deadline to sign up for the PACT Act and to get its benefits. What more can you tell us about it?
Well, it's actually a deadline for some extra incentives. It was supposed to be today, but they've extended it through Monday. And in essence, if you are a veteran or the survivor of a deceased veteran who is eligible for these benefits and starts signing up, in essence, today, you will get about 1 year's worth of retroactive back pay back to today, the 1-year anniversary of the passage of the PACT Act. So it was an incentive to try to get as many veterans to sign up as possible. They've received about 800,000 and change worth of applicants from a universe of up to potentially 4.5 million veterans of not only the Vietnam War, but then the wars of the last 20 years. Who were either exposed to Agent Orange or those toxic burn pits that the president was talking about. And the big reason why this is seen as such a huge help for veterans is that, as the president was just saying before we left him there, about 23 different conditions, including asthma, brain cancer, kidney cancer, have been added to a list of what they now call presumptive symptoms that you are likely to have gotten after your service. So if you came home from military service and suddenly were diagnosed with asthma, the VA now presumes you got it because you had served, and you had served in a specific number of areas where toxic burn pits were being burned, and you're eligible for benefits, or your survivors are eligible for them. It's designed to be a faster, easier way to sign up, and the presumption's now on you. You don't have to prove it so much to the VA. The VA presumes you have it, and you get it right away, or you get it eventually once it's been cleared. So nearly $800 billion set aside to eventually be paid out to veterans and their survivors. It is designed to reach them and to essentially address their needs and the families like the president's own. His surviving spouse, Hallie, and their children conceivably have benefited from this, though he didn't say, and we don't know, because he, of course, died from brain cancer, which the president believes he obtained after being exposed to burn pits in Iraq.
Yeah, it was interesting that I was reading up about how Biden, the president, said that he read the book, The Burn Pits, The Poisoning of American Soldiers by Joseph Hickman, and read actually about his own son's cancer and exposure to it and how it stunned him. So often, whenever he talks about veterans, it's clear how personal it is for him. In this case, it's personal at an entirely different level. Does the legislation then seem sufficient to the veterans and others that you're speaking with?
We've been talking to various veteran service organizations the last few days in anticipation of this. They are pretty pleased with it because it is such an easier way to get benefits, and it's designed to encourage especially younger ones to get into the VA system. The only thing they'd like to see is perhaps that back pay that they're getting now for the past year continue as an incentive. But beyond that, one veteran we spoke with yesterday said, look, it's great that the program is now in place. Survivors or those that are still alive and struggling with any of these 23 different cases should be able to reap the benefits. One of the issues, though, going forward, and this goes beyond the VA and beyond this legislation, is ensuring that doctors and nurses and other medical providers are aware of the various cancers or other ailments that veterans may have specific to toxic burn exposure, so that whether it's at a VA clinic or a private clinic, they're getting the right kind of medical care, and the people that they're dealing with know how to treat them. So that goes beyond legislation, goes beyond federal funding and presidential action. But at the end of the day, the White House sees this as a good day, and most veterans groups do too as well.
All right, Ed O'Keefe, thank you.